third picture in a franchise, there are several things that you can do to make it more fun, make it bigger, make it better.
Big, crazy, I mean, it's everything.
It's a big, big logistical nightmare.
This is like number 1 and number 2 combined, with the effects, with the stunts, with the multiple states, the multiple locations, the traveling circus. I don't think I'd have it any other way.
It's like nothing you've ever seen, you know? It's really crazy.
They must be thinking, is that big enough? Maybe that's not big enough. We gotta go bigger. We gotta think bigger.
I've never been challenged like this in my life, and I can't honestly say that I think I ever would have been had I continued going the way I was.
Everything's much better in this movie. It feels magical. I think we've learned from the first two. This time we worked our butts off to make this the best of the three.
Transformers!
I think the reaction to the second movie played a large part in the development of the third movie. Michael was very aware, as was the studio and Lorenzo. Everyone was aware that the reaction to number 2 was not as favorable as it had been to number 1.
The second movie was just sort of like a lot of second movies. It's an introduction of new characters. You know, how do we keep this exciting? How do we keep the discovery? New people, new faces. But we overdid that. I think there was too many new characters to pay off, and we didn't have the time.
Oh, I'm thrilled. Oh, I'm sorry, Transformers 2.
Was I proud of the movie? Yeah, there are things that are great in the movie, the things that are fun. It wasn't my best movie. I knew we could have done better. We were slogging through the ending. It got sloppy, and that's just because it's too little writing time. The movie was written during a writer's strike. The strike happened, we're still prepping the movie, and I said, we're already into this. It's not the best way, this is totally not the way to do a movie. I would never recommend it again, but we're gonna get this movie going, hell or high water.
Some of the flaws in it can be traced to the guild strike and not having enough time to really develop a story that might get to a deeper character level. But I think that movie came out of criticism of the first that, wow, these robots are so amazing, and what you can do with the effects are so amazing. We wanted to see so much more of that. And so I think the design of Revenge of the Fallen became about spectacle first, as opposed to starting with a stronger narrative through line and finding the action scenes that would fit that.
You know, it was a yeoman's effort, I guess, for being under the circumstances.
Michael wasn't sure that he wanted to make a third movie. He wasn't sure, certainly, that he wanted to jump into it right away.
Michael first thought he'd take a break between Transformers 2 and Transformers 3. Go off, do a little movie or something. But he realized that you might lose some of your key crew. And Michael Bay is a very loyal person, above and beyond everything, which is pretty cool. And once he has a team assembled, he's got people he's worked with for years. He loves working with the same people. I certainly enjoy working with him, and he realized we probably should roll into the next movie and keep all the same team so we know what we're doing and build upon what we already know.
What we did first was design robots. Dozens of robots, literally. Some got facelifts, some got new weapons, some got new armaments. That was the priority. So the marching orders were get these robots together and get going.
One of the nice things about the evolution of this franchise is that with each successive movie, we've had more liberty to create characters for the robots.
On the second one, what we ended up doing was, venturing into more personality-driven robots and also into more unique anatomy. And on the third one, I'd say it probably just kind of continued along the same lines in that we've now transitioned fully into kind of a creature realm of organic motion and organic design, but still within our Transformers kind of mechanical language of materials and shapes and all that sort of stuff. And then I would say that on the third, we went even more into specific kind of characterization, personality explorations. We'd done some of that on the second, but on the third, it was even more so.
I think we wanted to introduce some exciting new Autobot and Decepticon characters, but only a few, so that we really got to know them as characters, and they each got their moments to really register and make an impression. In previous movies, Bumblebee was Sam's guardian first and foremost. And in this movie, we felt like Bumblebee should graduate from that role. So we wanted Bumblebee to be one of the fighting ranks. He's gone from kind of up-and-coming member of the Autobots to a real leader of the Autobots.
He had sort of cosmetic changes to the car that would then influence and show up in the robot in subtle ways. But, as fundamentally his face and all the things that really make him identifiable haven't changed.
The car was the same for the first two movies. And we just needed to freshen it, update it a little bit, use the newer model, incorporate a lot of GM's new ideas to get just a fresher, sharper car. In this movie, Optimus now has a trailer.
It's a 53-foot Great Dane refrigerated trailer. It's just the most beautiful semi-trailer, if there was a beautiful semi-trailer, which turns into some type of flying apparatus.
We had a power-up idea on the second one, that when the SR-71 character dies, he sort of, or sacrifices himself, he takes on a lot of that guy's actual body matter, which if you think of it in literal human terms is kind of disgusting. But he takes his power and his paneling and all this kind of stuff and turns himself into a flying, powered-up Optimus. Maybe that idea was lingering in Michael's mind and other people's minds for the third one was, let's do it again, a power-up Optimus, but let's, number one, explain, whatever happened with the trailer from the original series, let's do something with that, and number two, the idea of Uber Optimus is just cool.
The concept Corvette that we have is so cool looking. It's definitely a Corvette, and yet it feels completely different.
It's essentially the same car as the second film, but the second film, it was a hardtop. We sent it back to GM and cut the top of it and made it the roadster that it is today. He is Enzo, as in Enzo Ferrari.
Early on, Enzo was sort of modeled on a character from the mythology called Mirage. And in an early draft of the script, he had some powers of invisibility, ability to cloak other objects. And as we pulled those out, we left the Mirage sort of name behind. But in that case, it was really important to Michael that this character have the personality of a Ferrari. So we really wanted that car in the movie. So we gave him an Italian accent and an Italian name. Q was initially modeled on a character from the mythology named Wheeljack, who was an inventor and a technical specialist.
Initially, it was sort of, okay, it's Q from James Bond, sort of, and he's going to be an old Rolls Royce. It's like, okay, that's cool. So I've got like a little retro vibe to play with. Maybe if he's I remember Q being kind of tall and scrawny in the old movies, and so, maybe he's a slightly bumbling kind of, character. And the first take I did on it, Michael, rightly so, said, that's a Pixar design. That's not our movie. Like that, it's too cartoony and it's too kind of cute, and I don't like it. Then sort of a mandate came down, honestly, I think it was from Spielberg, why don't you make him look like Albert Einstein? Literally.
The Wreckers are 3 new vehicles. The interesting thing is they're partially transformed and they're equipped with Gatling guns.
I just think they're the coolest invention ever. I mean, race cars with guns? What more could a boy ask for? I don't even know how to call them. They're not cars, though. They're war machines. They're speed war machines, Combining sheer firepower and speed, how cool is that?
In the mythology, they had very mercenary personality to them and couldn't always be trusted, but ultimately would show up and get the job done. So for the movie rendition of them, we saw them as a pit crew, and thus the NASCAR disguises and the brash kind of rough and tumble attitudes.
That was a neat attempt to do a real mashup of alien aesthetics with hardcore nuts and bolts, NASCAR, space frames and all the cool stuff that's underneath those cars. I felt like that was an example of where we, rather than a new Transformer thing that was kind of, harsh and kind of spiny and threatening and all that sort of thing, it was actually a fun, kind of colorful take on robots. Megatron has fallen on horribly hard times in our movie, and it's almost sad to see the bad guy, laid so low as that. As much as he's a terrible guy, you almost hate to see him like that.
We just wanted to make him kind of pathetic, ugly. That's why we had the sheet, the cloak with his ripped off face, trying to plan his sinister little plan.
He's taken on a very earthy, organic kind of tone in terms of the truck vehicle and his venue when we see him in Africa and all that. So that was a new thing to explore.
Shockwave was a big deal in the Transformers mythology. He was a character who had remained on Cybertron for the Decepticons and was leading the battalions there. He really represents kind of brute force and military tactics. And what we wanted for the movie, and we chose Shockwave to represent it, was a character that as soon as he appeared on screen, you knew he was a fearsome foil for Optimus. When Michael and I first started discussing how to present Shockwave, I pitched in the notion of a steed or a mount, kind of a horse for Shockwave, as if he could enter with this chariot. And for story purposes, we needed something that would tunnel underground to reach this engine part in the Chernobyl sequence. So I pitched this driller idea as a snake or a worm, and it was fairly straightforward.
It took us a while to figure out what the driller was exactly in relationship to Shockwave. I mean, it was clearly a vehicle, but at the same time, it's its own entity on some level, and the way that he drives it, is he sitting in a cockpit, or is he more like Spartacus on a chariot? There were different kinds of postures and relationships to him. I mean, at one point, it was almost as if is the driller a bunch of almost independent worm entities that he has lashed together with a kind of a saddle or a harness, if you will, and he's kind of riding them. Is he riding worms on some level? So that, ultimately it ended up being more like a cockpit, I would say, but there were still some visual elements that suggested kind of a riding-like sort of way of using your hands.
What I pitched is basically a straightforward drilling snake, but of course in true Michael Bay fashion. Once it went through his imagination and the artist at ILM, became this multi-tendrilled hydra of a huge thing the size of 3 city blocks. And the first time he showed me the visuals for that, I said, oh yeah, that'll work. The Dreads were characters that Michael brought to the table early on. As he has done in these movies, there are some characters that he wakes up with a vision of in the middle of the night and comes to a meeting and says, I see these guys. I don't know how they fit into the story, but they're going to be animalistic, and it's going to be awesome if we use them in this car chase we're talking about. I just want these guys to be scary.
Decepticons, usually they're flying, they're some kind of spaceships or jet fighters, but now they brought them into vehicle mode.
And they don't exist in the Transformers mythology. That's a Michael Bay special.
We have a new arch villain in the movie under the name of Sentinel Prime.
Sentinel is kind of the key character for this movie. In my initial drafting of the story, I talked about this notion of finding in the mythology a father figure for Optimus, someone that he had apprenticed under. And there's not a lot about Sentinel Prime in the mythology, so I felt that it gave us a lot of license to take a character who existed in Transformers lore, but do something new with him. and do something surprising with him, and find an Autobot whose betrayal could really emotionally impact Optimus.
I always wanted somewhere in the Transformers universe to do what I would consider a proper kind of Gundam, L-game, Japanese knight warrior kind of robot, because there's such a huge, great library of influences out there to choose from. I said, I know this is not going to fly. I'm just going to do it because I want to see how much of a, a slightly more traditional, cleaner design I can sneak in. And to my surprise, it actually went through. Ultimately, it had to be articulated into a more transformery language, but the basic shapes and gestures ended up largely kind of as clean as I had originally sketched them. It got articulated with extra sort of negative spaces and lots of mechanical parts and all that, but fundamentally there's some large contiguous flat surfaces on him that you ordinarily would never have made the cut, and I was happily surprised to see that it did. Some of the experiments we did where the face mask was extremely clean looking and sort of techie looking, I actually really like those, but I think, when you think of him as an older character, and obviously he has a huge story component and there's history behind him and all that, the decision to go with a more wizened and ultimately obviously a little bit piratey look was probably the appropriate way to go.
He needed to be something as big, if not bigger, than Optimus. And there was something about the fire truck that suggested ability, coming to the rescue, being on the side of right, that could subvert, our true designs with him. And Michael found a really cool looking fire truck. I wrote the script all the way up until we started shooting for the Michaela Baines character, with the assumption that Megan Fox was going to play that part again. She was in rehearsals a few weeks before we started shooting. And then, for one reason or another, it just became clear that it wasn't going to work out.
I had not seen Megan for about 8 months or so since Transformers 2, and when I saw her, she just didn't look like Michaela. It was just, I guess Hollywood sometimes has a way of casting a spell on women that they have to change their look, change how their appearance, I guess, to satisfy something. I'm not sure, but Megan's a stunningly beautiful woman, and we decided to go our own ways.
I guess we were all hoping that the family didn't break up, but it did. And we just kind of had to pick up the pieces and keep going,
It was difficult because we were a week away from shooting, and then we were a week into shooting, and we kept moving the Michaela stuff later and later.
We decided basically right away that we weren't going to throw out the rest of the plot of the movie and come up with a new plot that involved a new female love interest for Sam, but that we would maintain the idea that he was going to experience this adventure with a girlfriend character, and it would just need to be a new girlfriend.
Michael sent me a text message saying, you should really go to the audition for Transformers, and I assumed it would just be a small part in the movie, just a walk-on part.
Rosie came in. I think it was 400 or 500 women that auditioned. There was a spark about Rosie that I really liked, and she, said hello, good morning, thank you to the crew. My crew very much appreciated it, so it was a breath of fresh air.
A few more emails went back and forth from me and Michael, and I honestly thought he was joking. He was sort of like, you were good, and this movie might be coming your way. And I was like, yeah, whatever. And then there was a couple of phone calls, and then it was like, okay, this could be going somewhere. And still I was unaware of the of the part.
With the audition, it was a serious audition. It was. She did multiple auditions in New York, and then we just put her with Shia, with the full crew, with the full set, and we put her through the paces.
It's just not fair, I feel like I'm not working with the Autobots. I feel worthless.
Well, getting a good job's hard for everyone, Don't go into that little dark place that you go to.
I'm in a dark place.
You are. Place that
Hard
you
for
go
everyone.
to.
How many interviews did it take you?
It took me one.
That's what I mean.
Well, one of us has got to work.
I would like to work.
You would?
Yeah.
Well, then get off your ass and go get a job.
I'm in the midst.
I was at home on the weekend watching this test, and I asked my wife to come over and watch it. And her reaction was, I want to watch her more. And that's a chemistry thing. That's not an acting thing. You can teach a person to act. You can't teach a person that. You either have that or you don't have that. It's a magnetism, it's an energy, it's something that makes you go, I want to watch some more of that. And when you see somebody who's never acted and they can project that, you know you got something special.
Michael called me the next day, and then it was like, okay, right, you're in.
What it did do is it opened up some story possibilities that didn't exist with the Michaela character.
Over the 2 movies, the Shia-Megan relationship had progressed quite far, and it was going to progress a little bit more if Megan had been in the movie. But the truth is we got to restart in a way, and it brings a freshness and vitality that really serves the story and Shia's character and her character, and it's an unexpected thing that we've witnessed. I think it was Sidney Pollack who once said, it's great to watch people falling in love, but it's really boring when they're in love. And I never quite understood that quote until I saw this happen, which was, wow, there's a whole nother level of energy and excitement that has been brought to the project that is reminiscent of the first movie.
I think that change is always good, and though it is hard to let go of the past and choices that have become familiar, that sometimes it's okay to do new things and to go down a different road. So, you know, we certainly all wish Megan well in her ongoing career. It was time for us at this time, you know, to have a new choice, and Rosie has stepped in extremely well and is also beautiful and fun, and I think that the audience will respond to her in the same way that they did in the first 2 movies with Megan.
First shot of the movie. It's the foot landing on the moon. It's kind of appropriate. Okay. Good. Feels familiar. Still exciting. Still nerve-wracking. See, I got the shake. You see that? That's just called the directing jitters.
3, 2, 1. Jump!
The decision to shoot 3D was made fairly late in our pre-production process, but I think the benefit to shooting in 3D and releasing in 3D is a good one.
This is day 1. We look ridiculous, don't we?
3D. 3D. 3. Wait, I have to put my iced coffee down. Here, hold that. 3D.
Ready and action, moving around. Jim Cameron was one who really told me I should really consider doing this movie in 3D, really take a jump at it. So we did a lot of research. I brought in a 3D camera system and a crew, and I didn't want to know much about the camera. I wanted to just play a game like, okay, I'm gonna pretend like I'm on a shoot. I'm gonna time it, and I'm gonna go from here to here to here to here to here. Okay, I want to see how fast they can leapfrog. That wasn't going so smooth.
It has affected the way we shoot because it's much slower.
It's clunky, it's heavy. You know, to set up those shots, it is a different thing. When you got a 3D camera that's as big as that RV, you know, it does change the pace.
The amount of cables, the amount of crew, the amount of shit. You know, it was just like, this is gonna be a nightmare. But what was going smooth was me looking through the camera and I'm watching it on the TV and seeing 3D right then and there. And I'm like, this is very cool. Neil, turn towards camera a little bit.
Most of the times when people shoot 3D, they'll shoot 15 days of 3D. We shot almost every day with a 3D camera, which is a lot.
They budgeted 2 weeks of 3D, but you know me, I told Ian day 1, 3 hours in, I said, Ian, I'm keeping this the whole shoot, I hope you know that. We put this camera through more paces than it's ever been put through in terms of the car rigs, the cable cams, and the craziness that we put this camera through. And learned a lot about it. It really helped the movie. It's a much different movie when you see it fully in 3D.
I like it. It's a pain in the ass, but who said something being a pain in the ass is not fun?
What you see in the background
Ta-da!
is part of a building that will, in the movie, will be falling over.
When I saw the previews of the thing, I thought it was the most incredible sequence.
Once again, Michael Bay has outdone himself.
I don't think I've seen a more clever action scene ever. I think that thing is going to blow people's minds because it takes a gag you've seen before and turns it into something you've never seen before, and that's really hard to do.
I'm sure they've had something tilted before in a movie, probably like Inception or something, I don't know, but they don't have any robots walking around the building. We're always a step above the rest because we got robots.
When I say right, he's over here, and then I'll say left, he's coming back left. And then I'll say real right, go back away over there. Right! Yeah, let's go. Good job. All right, let's bring our thing down. We're done for the night.
The engineering feat of the building sequence was a major challenge, and it all had to be engineered, done, built within 4 months.
The gimbal was actually built a different way. It wasn't just like a teeter-totter. It was hinged, so it lifted from one side.
Now, in order to achieve that, we had to build a special platform using hydraulics that would be able to lift the building up and be able to move that platform anywhere from 0 to 45 degrees, depending on what that building is doing at the time in the movie.
We used an iPhone app to figure out where a human can't stand. We found that 24, 25 degrees was very hard to stand. At 25, 26, 27, you slip, you're gone. You cannot stop.
We're gonna go from 0 to 27 degrees.
I still think we need a little steeper.
We should go 2 degrees, guys, for the shot.
I think we should go 22.
That platform is 1/3 of a football field.
We put 5 or 6 different sets in it. We'd go away for a couple days, and the set dressers would come in and redress it for a different scene and for a different floor. We had the cafeteria, the lobby, and all the offices on the different floors. It took quite a few weeks of doing that.
You been in there? No. It's a mind. You get in there, it's like the movie Inception. It was bizarre. You walked into it. It's a square box, but your equilibrium is off.
When you're standing in there the first time and suddenly something flat goes to 26 degrees, and then everything is leaning, it's a fantastic phenomenon.
It's like being in Titanic when you're standing in there, isn't it? It's fantastic.
It's nauseous, that's what it's like.
The tilted building was a nightmare. It's a very hard thing to work in 30 degrees, 20 degrees. It's not normal.
Go, you. Come on, guys. Come on, Jack. Oh, this is gonna be hard. Ready, and 3, 2, 1, action.
When it was all the way up, you couldn't stand. You could crawl down it. If you stood up, you're going.
The interior stuff was rugged.
Rosie went right into the action stuff, the most intense part of the action stuff.
I really enjoyed the physical aspect of this film. I'm quite a physical person. I love that I got to do that. It was good. It's like being at the fun fair.
I said to Shia, I said, you know, I really want to bring the acting game up on this movie.
This is the Michael Bay acting class. He said, on this one, I want to try, think about a pet bird. You have a pet bird, and that pet bird dies. Think about that on the way down. And I did, and it helped. Thank you, Michael Bay.
Thank you. Where will we be?
Where will we be?
Once we're done with it in this phase, it becomes the exterior of a building, which becomes what we call the glass slide.
sheeted that with glass. And we were able to wax it and slide the actors down it into pads and stop.
To speed them coming down the slide, this 110-foot glass slide, he had them sprinkle baby powder on their rear ends so that they would scoot down even faster.
I find Detroit to be, in many ways, a very beautiful city, but an incredibly melancholy city because of the history that's here that is no longer here. There's a great deal of sadness.
Detroit is definitely feeling it right now. I mean, of all of the cities, you know, especially out there where they make so many cars in that city, they feeling it right now.
The Packard is an empty industrial facility, and obviously the train station is an abandoned train station that's defunct, it's not used anymore, because it was built on the outskirts of Detroit in the anticipation that Detroit was going to grow and eventually get to the train station, but it never did. Pretty much all these buildings are derelict, and we have to make them habitable and safe.
Detroit allows you a lot of that stuff. It's got a lot of destruction there. It's just, it's very dilapidated. It's sad. It's very sad. You know, you got one of it was a jewel of a city in America. It's just kind of, it's fighting to stay relevant.
Sadly, there's a lot of urban blight here, which of course makes for great film locations. I mean, the art department did an amazing job. They turned the look of decay into a look of post-battle.
The biggest dress for us was to produce 5 rail cars and get one of them coming out of a 3rd floor window of one of these buildings, and then the rest, you know, as though they'd crashed.
I think you walk into the Packard plant with train cars, you know, laying upside down and sticking out of buildings, you think World War III just started.
I've been doing this job about 18 years now, and I never get tired of the ingenuity of the art department. And Nigel Phelps and Jennifer Williams done an amazing job on this. They've turned a really great location into a magnificent location.
See this? I gave her the gray hair. She says.
He gave me the grey hair. One of the delicious things was when he actually walked on the set and he walked under the rail car, he looked up and he said, "Is that real?" And I thought, if you only knew how difficult it was to get those rail cars.
We're at the GM Heritage Collection, which is one of every car that GM's ever made. Amazing, isn't it? Car heaven.
Have you heard his Optimus Prime impression? It's good. Just give him that top line.
I got you.
This is solid. This is really solid. Give him the top line.
Things just got a lot worse. We have no weapons that can match shockwaves. We've got to outflank and get behind them. Autobots, transform and roll out.
Going to shoot on Pennsylvania Avenue, and there's the Capitol in the background. And the logistics of working in Washington, D.C. are so challenging because of all the different permitting process you have to go through and all the different governing bodies.
Washington, D.C. was by far the worst city I've ever shot in my entire life. It's easier to shoot under a space shuttle than to shoot on some grass in a roundabout in our capital.
Just an amazing labyrinth that you had to navigate to get all these permits done in the first place. And we're going to blow up 5 cars. We're going to flip them as if here comes the Decepticons flying down the street.
The president lives a half a block down there, and we're flipping cars almost in his front yard.
The Obamas need ear protection? Or are they asleep right now? I don't want to wake up the president, okay?
We did a 4-car flip there. 4 cars flying. It's quite interesting.
Basically what it is Decepticons are coming through the trees.
It's as if the bad guys are running up and overwhelming.
It's like a swarm of them. They're coming and they're going this way and they're running down that way.
There's 5 propane poppers out there.
There's going to be Willie Pete's and sparks and propane bombs back in here.
We have 3 or 4 of the large sparks that shoot up into the air.
This car's a flipper, that car's a flipper.
You're going to react to that one because the robot comes by and hits it?
Their stuff is a flipper, that's a flipper.
That thing's going to get hit, that thing gets hit, and this car gets hit.
This car's going that way, this car's going to be hitting this car.
It's like boom, boom, boom.
Bam, bam. Flash, flash, spark, spark, choo, choo, choo.
Okay, guys?
All right?
All right.
All right.
Okay? All right?
All right, guys?
Okay, any questions? Okay. John Fraser and Jim Schwalm of physical special effects, and Kenny Bates is the stunt coordinator. You have to coordinate a lot of huge events on a weekly basis, if not daily basis. A lot of coordination that has to go into what the human beings are doing with the fireballs, with the flying cars, with the flippers, with the drivers. All these things have to come together, and they have to be seamless, and quite often there's not an opportunity for a take 2 because something is going to be damaged beyond repair.
Ready, guys? Rolling cameras. Ready?
A lot of coordination, a lot of discussion, and we get it done.
We were told you can't really shoot the Lincoln Memorial, but we got it. There were certain requirements that we wanted to shoot there, that we needed. We were shooting at night, and first ask was, can we have a Porsche Cayenne on the mall grass? And there's a ranger there, and she said no. Okay. Then we said, well, we need to light the memorial. She said no. She says, well, we can't shoot at night if we don't have light. She says the light will damage the memorial. Okay. So then I wanted to shoot in the memorial, and I understand that they don't close the memorial, and I'm willing to work with. But when I went in there, I did a little ploy. I sent Josh out, and we did a distraction down below. So all the crowd funneled out, went down, surrounded around. Josh was giving autographs, taking pictures, whatnot, while we were in there by ourselves with Lincoln shooting. We needed to take photographs 360 so that we could digitally map the entire Lincoln Memorial. She said, no, there are no tripods allowed in the memorial. Okay, but the tripod weighs like less than 2 pounds. It's a 35mm camera. No, you can't have a tripod. Okay, Casey, my AD, brilliant suggestion. He goes, okay, what if we take our shoes off and you put the tripod leg in each shoe? She's like, tired, 3 o'clock. Okay.
Check! Back to work!
That Maybach is like a $1.7 million car.
I heard $1.5 million, and I heard $1.6 million.
$1.3, $1.4 million convertible car.
One of a kind. Although I heard there were 2 of them in the world.
There are only 3 or 4 of them in existence currently.
And then at some point it became one of a kind. I don't know, it's just sort of ridiculous.
Michael Bay actually put cones and caution tape around them because he was nervous about, the grips walking by with stands and, and electricians with lights. And so he cordoned the car off until it was actually going to be shot.
Watch out, Mike.
Yes, sir.
Belt around this car.
I'm not getting near it.
Very expensive car.
Copy that.
$1,600,000. I don't like those things by it.
Okay. I'm not going near it.
All right, thank you.
You want this on someone's lap?
Which, you got to respect him because he's so much into cars that he really presses the point that, we got to cover the seats, we got to cover the carpets, we can't mess up the car. So he's a little irate if anything does get messed up, because he really, you know, he likes cars.
And we did have one minor setback. I mean, that was the day that Michael just,
I mean, of all the cars, but I mean, there's a lot of really expensive cars.
You know, I looked at that driver when I saw him, and I'm like, that guy looks familiar. Oh, that's the guy who just does falls. You're not a driver. Huh. But you know what? I held my tongue and said, no, he must be a driver. He must.
Hey, Steve,
he
you good?
must. No one would be so stupid. So when we lose like $500,000 in a day, I eat a Big Mac, basically. That's what I do.
Transformers 3 was the first feature to shoot at Kennedy Space Center post 9/11, so their security rules and their protocols were much stronger and much stricter than they were when Michael shot Armageddon there.
On our first meeting with Kennedy Space Center, it was, you will not be able to film beyond the gate. And then so you kind of accept it, but you keep going back, keep asking, keep bargaining, and keep twisting the arm, and eventually, yeah, on the day where you're right up underneath the shuttle.
I think Michael wanted to be the only director who shot there twice, and we did some amazing things.
We got to shoot on Pad A with the shuttle right behind us.
To be standing so close to the shuttle where normally even NASA employees don't get to go as close as we got to go, so we were honored. It was fantastic. The other great thing about the shuttle is that the day before we started shooting, the whole gantry system had to open up for some maintenance, and which revealed the shuttle in its absolute glory. And it wasn't scheduled, it wasn't planned, and we were just lucky.
It's serendipity. I don't know what you call it. How does it all work out? That they had to keep the doors closed an extra day, so when we were going down there to shoot, instead of it being enveloped by this big superstructure, the doors were open and revealing the Discovery on the platform. I mean, it was unbelievable.
Well, it's a special day because it's opened up. You know, when we were doing Armageddon, it's usually closed, not as cool looking.
Mike likes to portray this very masculine character all the time. And sometimes when we have to do emotion, I need a different guy. I need the sensitive bae. So for me, those scenes get difficult. If it's MOS or something, then that's great for me because then I can kind of play my music. There was one time where we're underneath a space shuttle in NASA, but what we're filming is I'm losing my best friend who's now leaving me, and I may never see him again, and he's leaving because I threw him under the bus, essentially, which is a big deal, you know, and Sam's conflicted. And I was like, you know, Mike, I need to play this song, which was a song by a person called Feist, which is a woman who sings, so it's feminine, right? Mike's not having it. And I play my song, we do the first take, he's like, no, not gonna happen. And he takes my iPod out and he puts in his iPod. And now he puts his orchestral, symphonic, you know, march up the hill music. And I'm like, man, this isn't it for me. The marching up the hill music, it's not what I need right now. I need this. This is what I need.
He didn't want the orchestra music that would be appropriate for the scene in the movie. You know, I'm looking at the whole picture here, and Shia's got a very kind of harder-edged music. It wouldn't work for me to judge in a scene with something so counterintuitive to what would be in the scene. That music would just take me out of watching his performance.
But he kept harping me about the music choice. And I was like, Mike, the whole reason we have the iPod speaker out here is so that I can work myself up while you sit behind the camera and devise the shot. This is what I need right now, Mike. And I know it's weird and strange, and we got into it and it became like an explosive, one of our worst fights ever underneath a spaceship, which is pretty silly. I mean, we made up right like 2 days later, but I mean, me and Mike wrestle. That's our relationship. We get in there and wrestle.
The roof of the VAB, less than 5% of the NASA employees have ever been up there. It's just an incredible privilege to be able to stand up there on that roof, see the launch pad from that perspective, see, the entire Space Coast region from up there, because it's one of the largest buildings in the country. To be able to stand up on that roof and actually film a scene up there was a true privilege. The SSPF is the space station processing facility. So they pack all the clothes, the food, the research materials, everything that goes up to the space station. So those folks are working in bunny suits. And here we come with the film crew, and our guys had to wipe down the cable. I've never seen cleaner cable than the cable we had inside the SSPF. Because if you were to get some bacteria from some cable that we had laying in an alley in the city of Chicago, I mean, those people's lives are at stake, so they can't have any bacteria or anything go wrong up there. It was really amazing. This crew has been so great. They wiped down everything. I mean, not one complaint. I was very impressed and very proud of this film crew.
Michael has a top-notch, world-class crew. He readily admits that.
They're pros.
There's a reason why Michael brings all these people back. A, they're the best in the world at what they do, and B, they have this crazy ability to put up with Michael Bay.
This has to be all grips on hand with this thing. It is not to move under the tail. You understand me? Yes, sir. All right, am I very clear? Yeah. Good.
He has to be General Patton. It's the only way to get these movies done is to have that mentality. I don't think you could be a sensitive, sweet guy and get all the cogs moving. You couldn't.
Working with Michael is tough. Working with Michael Bay it's not a picnic. Working with Michael Bay is difficult because when you arrive to the set, as soon as my feet hit the cement, I mean, I'm off and running, and we don't stop till we wrap.
He's not someone who's sort of interested in contemplating or reflecting or, let's just say, goofing around. This pace, I love it.
Michael may not be the most punctual person on the planet. I'll say that much, okay? But when he does show up, he wants to go, 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 go. So everybody has to strap it on and just run to catch up, because the man's amazing. He's got his own name on his tennis shoes, and he's all go, no quit until it's time to stop. Or I guess with Michael's tennis shoes says, boom! Bam!
I can't see it. No, that's the commercial. That's the Nike Market commercial. Here we go. Ready? Ready? Go one more time. Ready, Mike? 1, 2, 3. Boom! Bam!
Being in NASA, there's history here, and it's American history. It's certainly someplace that you've always been aware of, at least since I was a kid. And so many things in our lives came from NASA. I've got one of those Tempur-Pedic beds, that came from NASA.
There were several fun things that we did in our association with NASA, one of which was that Mike got to go downstairs into the shuttle control room and talk to the astronauts in the space station.
Guys, we were just filming a thing from Apollo 11, basically. We're recreating mission control, so that's why we're here at NASA.
Well, that's great. I love the first 2 movies and look forward to seeing the third one. When is that supposed to come out?
That comes out July 4th, and this one's the best of them all. It actually focuses on the space program and why we really went up to space.
To protect Earth from the evil Transformers?
I think one of the great things for me about having a NASA and a moon theme in the film was that we got exposed to NASA. And for me, growing up as a kid in the 60s and watching man land on the moon, there was something epic historically that touched all of us. And to have that become a part of our film and to meet Buzz Aldrin and to meet all the folks at NASA, both at Cape Canaveral and the Johnson Space Center that we met, and to see firsthand what it is that those folks do to send astronauts into space is mind-boggling and just an enormous human accomplishment that really made a mark on me and our entire crew.
Once we got to Chicago, every day was big.
This is an American city, and they gave it to Bay like, play. It's your sandbox.
We're doing stuff in downtown Chicago that's never been allowed before.
This is the biggest thing to film in Chicago ever.
How they are able to do that blows my mind.
It's like, that doesn't happen.
I knew Chicago was gonna get it. I mean, I know they do fireworks here twice a week, but boy, we have a whole different kind of fireworks.
We were looking at different cities just to see like a different look other than Los Angeles, because he loves Los Angeles and filming here, but he wanted something different. So I think when he saw Chicago, and it's a pretty spectacular looking city, so once he saw it, he was like, oh, this is it.
Chicago was the most amazing city in terms of what they gave us, the amount of access, the amount of closures. Michigan Avenue is a street that they said they've only closed twice in the history of Michigan Avenue. They closed the bridge, once for Oprah Winfrey and once for me.
We shut Chicago down for a good month and a half. 6 weeks we were in Chicago, and we didn't leave anything unturned, really. We did Chicago.
We turned the streets of Michigan Avenue into sort of 9/11-esque World War III eruptions, all down the streets with rubble and falling buildings and burning cars and crushed light poles and that sort of thing.
We could only get the streets, the big destruction scenes on the weekend, and in a very limited amount of time, and it was usually all night, is when we had to set up these massive scenes of mayhem and debris and destruction.
We had all the larger pieces on wheels, so we could tow them in at night, tow them out the next morning. A lot of it's polystyrene, and we made it as light because we had to maneuver them. So we certainly made everything as light as possible just for maneuverability.
Then my team came in with mobile rubble and smaller rubble. There was another team that came in and placed cars and burning cars.
Some of those scenes have 80 and 90 cars in them, and they all have to be prepared in certain ways. Some of the cars that they wanted burning on set have to be stripped of all interior, all upholstery, all plastic, anything that would give off toxic fume if you burn them. So those are stripped completely, and burn bars are put in so the special effects can bring flames up and take them down as necessary. Anything that's going to be flipped over, we have to pull motors, transmissions, gas tanks, so you can burn them without any danger. Other cars would be wrecked on scene.
3, 2, 1, and go!
It was a massive, coordinated effort that, given the scope of what we were doing, it went surprisingly well.
But then there was one night when it rained and rained and rained and rained, and we had 8 inches of rain. And I thought, we're never going to make 6 o'clock. But then the sun came out, and everyone thought nothing of it, but it was actually a horrendous night. It was horrible. The first weekend, we were dressing LaSalle, and we had 2 blocks to dress, which we started at 8 o'clock. And then we finished that at 6. The crew came in, and then we moved up 2 more blocks to do the next section in daylight. But Michael decided that he wanted a lot more than that, and in fact, I think at the end of the day, we dressed about 8 blocks.
The question is never if Michael decides to change his mind, it's when he's going to change his mind, because it's going to happen.
How about we do this?
We're changing.
How about when those bombs go off?
No.
Changing back.
Changing back. Not changing.
Michael would change things on the day. He would dream up other sets that we have to do in the afternoon. It's been difficult.
There's beauty in the fact that everything is a bit malleable here. It's the way that Mike works. Like, you ask Mike how deeply he storyboards, it's not that heavy. He gets on set and sort of creates.
Once he arrives at someplace, and because Michael is such a visualist, that when he sees it, then he sculpts how he wants to shoot it.
I'd love to come up over this car. Give me something where Tyrese can step on this, he can jump over this, you know, boom. This is slippery here, so we gotta be careful here, all right, guys? And we should move this up a little bit, okay, guys? Okay.
Not many directors have the confidence to not prepare the way Mike does. He's super prepared, but not in to a T way.
Michael's always improvising. He's always adding things. You know, he'd come in on the day and be very inspired by this or that. And wow, all of a sudden, you know, we're turning left when we thought we were going right.
Why is your timing so different on these two cars? I think this event should go together.
Anything you want, but that's what you gave me.
Well, they should go together. Well, I gave it to you wrong, Jim.
I don't care. I just go and plug it.
All right.
But we got to tell everybody.
I know, so let's figure it out.
He prepares enough to be able to have a malleable environment on set. And that's why this crew is incredible, is they need to adapt to whatever Mike's thinking when he's on set.
Art department, right here. Help us out, man. I think what I like to do is push in. Move all this shit, guys. Give me some fires by this truck right here. Give me some stuff, right? Clear all those other cars, put them on the other side so officers could rip around and show fast.
We just came up with a little motto, and our motto was ATT, ATT. That's all the toys all the time, because we never knew what we were going to shoot.
I mean, we have technocranes here every day, regardless of if we're doing hand inserts or not, because Mike might want to do a hand insert through the roof of the building.
You have to have an A, B, and a C plan, and be prepared that there might be a D plan that you don't know about.
3, 2, 1, go!
Hit it again, and go!
3, 2.
Okay, stop.
One more time, hit it. You get ready.
Hit it again.
Gonna hit it on this one, guys.
Go. We cut.
We cut that. And this is the way the man works. See, and the reason his movies look the way they do is because he works that way.
You just got to be able to swing with it or you're doomed.
Art department, help us out here. Where's art department? Art department. I need people following me around when we're doing this shit, okay?
One of the things that Michael wanted was to try to do a lot less in the computer when it comes to all the destruction and all of the action that's going to happen.
Michael Bay loves special effects. He likes to do it real and on film, right there. He loves what we do, and he's constantly calling for us and calling for me.
Okay, Schwab. And Schwab. Swami. Hey, Schwab, can we burn anything around here or no? Schwab, start the fires. Hey, Schwab, I want to see you start rigging that over here right now. Swami, let's talk about the cues.
When we first got there, we had 2 or 3 cases of 3F, black powder, which we wrap our own bombs and make it up. Kept ordering more and more. We had boxes of black powder. We went through so much powder on that movie, we were worried about running out again.
I've never seen more people turned out to watch shooting of a film. A lot of times people show up, there's really very little payoff, but they had plenty of great stuff to see. It was mobs and mobs of people.
They estimated something like 25 or 30,000 people were around watching, not to mention all the people that were up in probably the buildings around watching that.
I thought it would be a nightmare, but what we did, Gabriella, the publicist, took our actors in a golf cart blocks away to the fans, because it looked like Universal Studios there.
Every day you would show up, it was like being a rock star. It was like a concert.
The fact that the fans are out there while we're blowing up all of this stuff and doing all these big action scenes, it gives us energy.
Oh, we got more cheers from those Chicago tourists. You wouldn't believe it. It was great. It makes you feel good. They appreciate what we're doing. We do a little thing and they'd cheer, and then we do a giant thing and they'd just come roaring.
The challenge is to try and get them to be quiet until we're done.
It was fun to be a part of that and to know that they were as excited as we were making it.
1, 2, 3.
I think one of the ways that the third movie was different than the second, and particularly the first movie, was being the first two, we tried really hard to protect the content and not to show the cars, and not to let the characters be seen. And when you shoot a day exterior movie in the center of a city, it's impossible. It's literally impossible. So conversely, we just embraced it.
It was almost like Universal Studios there. It was like a tour. I was seeing the explosions and the stuff going on, and there were thousands of people were watching. You know, so we tried to involve them.
Thank you, everybody. Go watch the movie. Good job, everybody. Good job, everybody. Lucas, we're going to talk.
I loved being in Chicago. I thought our crew and cast had a really good time there because, you know, it's a big city, there's lots going on there, and I think everybody sort of reveled in the moment that we had of making that size film in a major metropolitan city. I'm not sure where else we could have done what we did as successfully as we did in Chicago, just because of the level of cooperation we had.
Mayor Daley, I'm sorry. Clean it up, I promise. You got to stay here. You got to be here for the next 15 minutes. It's great stuff.
Thank you. Here we go. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Good, and
okay, same everything. Good?
Yeah, I think it was good, huh?
I think that the reason that they did allow us to do a lot of the stuff was because of our reputation, you know, that we do care, and that we're not just a bunch of cowboys coming in blowing up their city. The thing that was really cool was we shot a scene on South Street at the Board of Trades for 5 city blocks, and the next day you never know we were there.
It was really a great experience, and we can't thank the Chicago Police Department enough, and the fire department, and everyone in Chicago, the people as well, for all the support of the film. It was just such a great experience, and we look forward to going back.
It was the best city experience I've ever had in my life. A lot of really good memories with the fire and the police. And everyone was in a happy mood. They're nice there. They all say hello. They're really polite. It made it a good city experience.
They don't get much more beautiful than this, do they?
Just when you thought Michael Bay couldn't throw anything more wacky at you, he throws wingsuited skydivers at you.
When people see it, I think there's going to be a natural tendency to believe that it's fake, and in fact it's not. It was all done real.
They gotta have the biggest set of brass balls I've ever seen in my life. I mean, those dudes are crazy.
I mean, it's really crazy.
I saw in 60 Minutes the Birdman with J.T. Holmes jumping off like Norway cliffs or something like that.
Michael saw J.T. Holmes and Julien Boulet, and it was a piece on these guys, what they do. They jump off of mountains in these wingsuits, and they look like flying squirrels. So he saw that, and he said, I want that in the movie.
I literally called Ian Bryce. I said, Ian, find those guys wherever they are, get them in the office. I want to put them in this movie.
To my surprise, the phone rang, and it was Ian Bryce, and he spoke humbly about a movie project and told me what it was, and I was like, sweet. I'm in.
J.T. Holmes was our main person. He was coordinating that unit, and he got a team of 4 other guys together, one of them being a cameraman. He was really the perfect person because he is very skilled at this type of thing. Yet at the same time, he's very calm. Like, he will say no. And he knew that he needed to pick a team of people that obviously were skilled, but also weren't daredevils. And 3 of the guys are on the Red Bull team, and they fly together all the time. And then he and Julian had flown a lot together, who was our cameraman.
My first meeting was I just sat there with Michael, and we talked about possibilities, and basically it was like, well, there's not that much to talk about until we choose a city and go there and find some lines.
We scouted with JT, and we went through the previs and figured out what Michael wanted. Then we went and saw the different buildings in different areas, whether it was the river or near the Willis Tower in Chicago, and tried to figure out how best to give Michael what he wanted.
This is like Disneyland for us, eh?
Yeah,
if you really think like Euro Disney and Disney combined.
We are going around from building to building asking whether we can do things like base jump off their building, because all of the shots that have been storyboarded can't be done by jumps from helicopters. So we've got to use a number of buildings like the Trump Tower, Hancock Tower, and maybe the Sears Tower to achieve some of these shots, because they'll be very useful sort of jumping platforms. And we've also been looking at a bunch of other tall buildings as camera platforms from which to show these skydivers whizzing past at improbable speeds.
Oh my God.
It came down to 4 locations, 2 base jumps, one in wingsuits off the Sears Tower, which is now called the Willis Tower, and then a regular base jump off the Trump Tower, and then other wingsuit jumps out of helicopters along the river and through other buildings in the city.
The reason we're doing 2 different types of jumps is because Trump Tower, if you jumped off there with a wingsuit, it's just not that high. You wouldn't get that much flying out of it. We're able to get more moments of usable footage, more flying in the urban terrain if we jump out of the helicopter. So the helicopter is a huge advantage. At the same time, it's a variable, so it makes it a little trickier in some ways for engaging the line and telling people where we're going to be. If we're standing on the Sears Tower, we can tell all the camera operators we're going to be standing shoulder to shoulder right there, for sure, 100%. And they can get framed in and dialed. So it makes it easy for them. Plus, base jumping is kind of the purest form of our sport, and we like to jump off of things. I like to get into the landing areas when there's nobody around me to ask a bunch of questions. Just kind of take it all in. Okay, what if I open here? What am I going to do? Where am I going to go? I can make a diagonal entrance into this parking lot. It's open. If I overshoot the parking lot, there's a street that's still good to go. A line here that works. Watch out for the fence.
The film company might have thought that these guys were a little crazy, when in reality they are the most level-headed, intelligent. Every thought, every variable is processed and talked about. It's definitely not kids jumping off of buildings.
We plan what we're going to do and we stick to the plan. And I can say no. And when I chose the guys, I only would choose people that I know would say no. People that can put their ego in check and just say, look, I know there's hundreds of thousands of dollars invested in this morning of work, and sorry, it's not going to happen. That's really important.
Ground to chopper, you copy? Yes, go ahead. We're green light on the ground, green light on the ground. Look at that, 1 minute away. 1 minute!
Norm, ready? Yeah, everybody's ready when you guys are ready.
We have 5 cameras rolling at any time on the stuff, and there are 3 ground cameras, although they're typically on the tops of buildings.
It's been pretty tough
for us with the land-based cameras, because what we have to do is get to a high enough altitude where we can shoot them and get some interesting backgrounds going by. And in addition to that, we're using really big lenses, so it's hard to find them when they're getting out of the helicopter, so there's all the stress of missing a shot. In addition to that, there's communication with the helicopter. We have space cam going. We have so many cameras going that it's really sort of like a military operation in terms of like understanding when they're going to jump, rolling cameras, having a shot, knowing where they're going. There's just a lot of logistics. So, you know, we'll work all day long to get maybe 4 shots.
There's 3 or 4 guys on tripods on different parts of the city shooting. They're kind of at the disadvantage. You know, the most exciting stuff potentially will come from the helicopter and from Julian's air-to-air.
It's actually a 3D camera mounted on his head, so it's 2 lenses on his head, and he's flying with the boys, and that footage is going to be really stunning.
That's really the camera to do the POV. I mean, he really jumps out with his guys. He has the camera right, and he's right on their tails. That's a great vantage point to see their close proximity to buildings.
10 seconds, guys. 10 seconds. Go ahead and start rolling. Jump. Hit jump.
How'd it go? That was awesome. That was sweet. Coming around that corner, it swings you out pretty wide, but that's a pretty cool building right there and pretty nice river. This is fun.
We're doing a really strange form of skydiving where we get out really low. We get out at about 1,800 feet, and we're pulling at 400 feet, you know, even sometimes a little bit less. And we would choose reference points of building, okay, that's a 400-foot building, so when we get to that level, pull. People look at this and they think, okay, now that the parachute's open, the danger's off, but really it's, you know, we're deploying right next to each other. And that's really technical stuff, because you're opening, you're avoiding your friends, you're avoiding hazards like buildings and light poles, you're dealing with the wind, and you're landing on concrete. You're making these split-second decisions, you know, open, where am I gonna land? You have emergency outs. We walk all over every landing area and just, you know, you kind of pay your respects to the little light poles and little hazards. And then when you come in at 110 miles an hour and you have 10 seconds to land your parachute, you know, you've seen it before.
Morning, great, fantastic, ready to jump off this building.
The concept of base jumping off tall buildings is always a sensitive one for those tall buildings and the people who own them and manage them.
I mean, to get to the top of these buildings, Willis Tower, the security, there's just no way. Here, we're spoiled. I mean, we're putting our wingsuits on in the lobby of the Willis Tower, getting in the elevator, being escorted, pressing the 106th floor all the way to the top, climb up some stairs, go out to a custom-made platform, and bail off at your leisure. You know, we had all day to session the Willis Tower. That's huge.
To put all this stuff together and be able to do this and the permissions and everything, it's a big deal to get this type of stuff.
Logistically, it's a pretty big deal. There's a lot of elements to coordinate. You have to coordinate lock-offs with the police department. We've got a lot of production assistants who are helping us coordinate people, so when the helicopter is flying over the area where they're jumping, that is cordoned off so it's safe. You know, we follow all the strict FAA regulations. Cameras on 2 separate buildings. There's all kinds of stuff going on. It's beautiful chaos.
Being on the top there on the corner jump, you know, that takes a lot of emotional strength to gather the courage and jump there. It's just really visually overwhelming.
They're very quiet before they do a jump. They're very serious.
When they do their jump, their mental focus is off the charts.
What it is when you're focused is you're analyzing what is making you scared. You know, what is it? Is it the line of flight I'm worried about? Is it not being able to fly far enough to not be able to reach the landing zone? Is it the wind conditions? And if you go through like, okay, those 8 things that I'm concerned about that are making me scared, and each one of them is not actually bothering you, enough to say no. Each one of them is like, no, actually that's within my abilities. And you go through each one objectively and think, all right, you know, this goes, goes, I got this.
All right, we're giving 30-second warning. We're giving 30-second warning.
So let's just harness that fear and turn it into focus, and just now you focus on the task at hand. All this stuff's within our skill set, but you gotta perform at least okay.
10 seconds, 10 seconds.
This is not a gimme. This was pretty advanced skill level stuff for us.
5, 3, 2, 1, go.
It was a really special day. We jumped off the Willis Tower with wingsuits. The building's never been jumped before, and not a lot of buildings have been wingsuited before. No buildings in the United States that I know of have been wingsuited. It was cool to jump an iconic building, and we got some great shots for our scene, and we had a great experience.
JT and the guys are really happy and lucky because they are living a dream. I think for base jumpers and for wingsuit people particularly, it's always been a fantasy to, wow, wouldn't it be cool to fly between two buildings? Wouldn't it be cool to go down a city avenue and deploy? They get to jump off a lot of natural terrain, a lot of mountains, but doing jumps and proximity flying in a city area, it's always been an unattainable fantasy. And they're getting to live their dream. They're getting paid for it, and you know, Transformers has made it possible, but it's just nice to see that, you know, since the advent of wingsuit flying, people have always wanted to do this, and now it's happening.
It's pretty rewarding to be able to go and do something like this and know that there's nobody else in the world that is actually capable of doing this. And yeah, like, makes you feel pretty cool. You're capturing something that's new, special, and you just got to wait and let the memories come back, and they do.
I always thought I was going to be relieved once it was over because there's stress and there's anticipation and nerves. And it's a bit of a nerves roller coaster. But yesterday when we made our last jump flying wingsuits through the city, I was like, my heart sank. I was really bummed. It's like if it's Christmas and you're, 6 years old, you wake up the next day and Christmas is over, and it feels like an eternity before there'll be another Christmas. And there may never be another Christmas for us. And it just felt just like that. You just like, oh, it's over. Like, it was rad, but it's over. And, you just hope you get another taste of it sometime. They could have done this whole thing fake, and it would have looked good, but not real. And I think Michael Bay's movies are rad because he has real action. And when you see stuff and you say, holy cow, well, that did just happen. Somebody, like me, just went out there and did something rad for a camera. It's cool that Michael has that attitude and he places value on that. And he went and spent, $500,000 to, get all this stuff green lighted and to put every damn cop on the street corner, ensuring safety and the safety of the city. And, paying location fees, and all because he wants it to be real. He wants real action. And, thank you. I'm proud of it, yeah. I mean, it's tough to be proud until you see a finished product, but I'm proud of the flying we did. I'm proud of myself because I grew a lot as a flyer and earned the trust of the whole Red Bull Air Force. They're the best flyers in the world. It was cool to come to the city and stomp some lines and kind of make your little artistic impression on the city. And I'll never look at Chicago the same again. So looking forward to see Matt Butler and Michael Bay put their touch on the sequence. It was really cool to have Matt come out to the skydive zones that we went to, and he and I had a beer yesterday and he was excited. He was like, I am confident. I'm gonna be able to, take this and add the special effects and make buildings blow up and collapse behind you. And he has what he needs to do his job, so that means we've done our job.
So you'll fix it in post, is what you're saying?
Well, no. It's I think we hit that harder if we say, if we kind of bring it up by design.
With Michael's features, you're sprinting for the entire time you're on it.
I kept cutting and more footage kept coming in, so you have to constantly be reworking it and reworking it.
For the tilted building sequence, he told us that he thought of it while he was doing stomach crunches, which is funny because it gives us stomach aches.
We were digging that sound, so we went with it.
Often what you hear is not what you'd expect it actually is.
Let's roll.
You know you've made it in this business when Michael Bay is sitting with you and you're rushing to get something done because Steven Spielberg is 2 minutes away and he's coming in any second to look at your cut.
I think that's good. Joel had been on the second movie. Roger had been on the first 2 movies. And Billy, this was his first time. We just hit it hard very quickly, going into complicated scenes and trying to build sections so that we can start feeding the beast, which is the effects pipeline.
Whatever scenes come in, we just take them and start working on it. And we show them to Michael, and then he looks at them, gives us notes, and he may send it to another editor, or he may keep the same editor on it for a while. But the reason why Michael likes more editors is to get a fresh eye on the sequences. Like, he'll give the same sequence to 2 editors, and he'll take, oh, that part's pretty good in that sequence, that part's pretty good in that sequence, let's mix them up, let's look at it again.
He had me and Joel cut the same scene at the same time, and it took about 4 or 5 days to cut it because there was so much footage.
Instead of one brain working on it, you've got, 3 brains. He uses our editorial perspective the best way he can. So, did you guys do anything different here with the...
In editorial, you immerse yourself to the point sometimes where you can fool yourself that something is working because you know the geography of where everything is and who is who and what robots are what robots, but it's really important to step outside of that and try to get fresh eyes on it.
The best thing a director can give you as an editor is the ability to make a wrong choice, because you don't want to get so tied up in knots about getting it perfect that you don't think outside the box. I mean, I've done other visual effects movies before, but never as big as this, and never with as many empty plates. You cut these scenes together, and Michael shoots just hours of plates for each scene, and sometimes you literally don't know whether it's a camera reset or it's supposed to be a shot.
I worked together with Digital Domain, cutting sequences together. And one example is the scene in Dylan's mansion where Dylan reveals that he works for the Decepticons. There's a scene in there where one of the Decepticons grabs Carly and pulls her into the car, but he's a robot and he turns into a car. All that scene is just, when it's shot, it's just her on a rope being grabbed and pulled up, and and then there's a shot of a blank street, the mansion in the background. And what I do is I build it all just with the plates. I consult with them. They kind of tell me a little bit about where things that go. And it's just a constant back and forth, just kind of putting it together and making it the most exciting that it can be.
Roll 3D. Rolling.
When people said Transformers 3 in 3D, everyone thought, oh my God, that's the movie I want to see. And then we all said, how the are we going to do that?
The amazing thing about 3D is it actually focuses the audience on what action you want them to actually see.
It does change the cutting pattern a lot.
3D is very bad when you do this. It strobes. It's got a lot of problems there. I'd slow down my style. I did a lot of master shots.
You kind of have to hold shots a little bit longer. There's a lot to look at.
Not only the kinetic imagery that Michael shoots, but it's the kinetic energy of the animation within the frame. As editors, we're cutting lengths of shots, but we've got a whole, company or two of visual effects artists who are editing within the frame. And it's all that editing within the frame that makes pulling off the 3D really challenging. Just because we lock down a shot length doesn't mean the work is done. All we're doing is saying, we want this shot from here to here. ILM, go to it. We like the human performances in the shot. And then once they start working on the robot animation, there is a process where that animation is temp, and then it gets finer and finer until it's locked. It's a lot to figure out.
There's a lot of scenes everybody's going to be talking about. The bat suits is a huge sequence. I mean, that's amazing.
The Birdman dailies are just sick. I mean, it's insane what these guys are doing. I'll never forget, in looking at the dailies, some of the scariest stuff for me is these shots when they jumped both out of helicopters and off the top of some of the tallest buildings in Chicago. And they had these cameras looking off the face of the building where these guys wearing these helmet cams would peer over the edge, and that gave you this perspective shift that just made your stomach churn. And it was really fun to cut that stuff.
I remember the very first test screening, there was a kid, goes, "You got to take that scene out." This was when it was a rough cut. I'm like, "Why?" He says, "You can't do that." I said, "Well, let me just tell you, all but 2 of those shots are real."
Michael does not like to lean on CG any more than he has to. Even though we're talking about a Transformers movie with 60-foot tall robots running around, the magic of these movies is that it's all meant to be photoreal. And so anytime we can avoid creating something in the computer, Mike is going to want to do that. Those guys are real, man. And when they're flying around inside Chicago, especially the helmet cam stuff, really gives you the sense of being up there, and seeing it in 3D is pretty mind-blowing. It looks sick. I've skydived before, but this is nothing. I mean, what I've done is stupid.
You know, one thing that we joke about, Roger and Billy and I, is when you work on a movie, usually there's about 4 money sequences, and this movie's got 12. I'm not kidding you, it's huge.
All right, let's go.
In a lot of ways, as effects artists, you couldn't ask for more than Michael Bay.
While I respect him and he is brilliant, it's exhausting.
He's always thinking a few steps ahead, because you'll be doing animation, we're all thinking animation, and he'll be like, well, we're gonna get light kicks over here, and I can do a sound cue over for that, and then he's kind of thought the shot through further than you have, because you're just like, you know, blinders on, animation.
He has a fantastic eye.
He sees stuff so quickly. I think his pacing is different to most people.
You pull up a shot and he looks at it and he'll be like, "That's soft."
And you're like, how does he do that?
He's my pain in the ass, but he's a effing genius.
Review sessions with Michael are very interesting because you never quite know what you're going to get.
The transmissions would go every day, and it's laborious. It's just shot by shot, pixel by pixel, light, you know.
He's looking at the shot, and he's in there maybe biting on his shirt, and you're like, what's he thinking? He's not saying anything. Then, okay, that's as close as you're gonna get to, it looks great, guys. So, boom, next shot, you bring it up. Next shot comes up, he's looking at it, and one word you don't want to hear is the G word. Guys, like, oh, God, here we go. And if it's one guys, you're okay.
Terrible looking, guys. Guys, I don't like all the blue.
We can deal with that, you know. Then it's guys, like, and your head just keeps going down with every guys. It's just like, you get the 21 guys salute, and you're back to blocking.
Guys. Is that what I do?
He's really great about interacting with the artists, and they love it as well.
What are those little things coming by, like fireflies?
Little bugs.
I love them. Give that guy, that woman, $25. This is beautiful. Who is that? Wayne, I'll pay you back. Just give the money, all right?
Simon Twain.
All right.
Simon Twain.
All right, $25.
Simon. Pay him. All right,
Just send me a bill when you're done.
That's good. It goes too long here, but...
Shit's a very descriptive word. They understand all different iterations of it.
That's bullshit, you know, it's just some more shit. Shit. Just adds a little more shit to it. I don't give a shit.
I have a very good rapport with the ILM guys, you know? So we've known each other for so long.
They're firing on all cylinders right now. This is a finely honed team.
He's great with really pushing the realism of the characters.
We don't like fake CG.
I love how you did the gun. The gun has really come a long way. It looks amazingly real. Do we want to do some skidding stuff? Let's talk about that.
Smoke.
I know, but the wheels, would you try to, you gotta, let's talk animation of the wheels.
They'll definitely tell you if something's not working right to your face. No BS about it.
Well, Bumblebee looks up. Ferrari still looks so up. Sideswipe is a little lame.
Something we've learned from the first two is not to challenge him.
Where are the bricks? Come on, you're telling me that's where they all land?
I don't think we turned any off.
Am I missing something?
He remembers it all, and it's kind of insane.
I know on the plate we can see him sooner than that. His hair, didn't you have like a different look of his hair? Don't we have to make it go all the way up?
Not yet, not in this shot.
Ah, yeah, gotcha, okay, all right. Just testing you. You passed.
Yeah.
I give them a lot of creative freedom. Show me. DD did exactly that.
He actually helps us improve our work, and I appreciate that.
I'm really pleased with the work we've done on this movie. It's taken a lot out of me, but at the end of the day, I'm very proud to be associated with those images and the work that everyone here has done. The moon in particular.
In the moon sequence, we got pretty accurate data. Japan sent up a probe and basically laser scanned the moon.
We're doing a lot of shots on the moon, so we're trying to figure out what the look of the actual moon surface is supposed to be, which is kind of what this is. How to take it from kind of more of a gray shaded, low-res model of the moon surface to try and apply like a look that actually works.
We start out with 6 gravity, moon silt, and robots and such.
As these ships pull themselves out of the moon's crust and all the silt that's around them and break things free, we get to have that elegant ballet of motion that we're not used to down on Earth.
The protoforms, Michael liked them when they ran at a certain rate. We had a bunch of different speeds. And Mike also wanted this quad run. So we took our biped, and fortunately he had very long gorilla arms and very long fingers. The speed of the run is tricky. You know how the Moonmen, they all move kind of slow so they don't like launch themselves for like a football field's length. But they looked better when they weren't running so slowly. We like had to work that out so that the speed was good looking, but not so fake.
So the whole Cybertron being pulled through space to the Earth, I think originally we were forming a lattice that kind of formed the planet of Cybertron. So we started working in that direction. Early on, there's this beam that's kind of feeding the pillars with energy, and the pillars themselves here are kind of projecting some energy, and then we're transforming everything we're actually like materializing the planet out of it. But then the further we got into this, then Michael Bay didn't seem to really like the idea of materializing the planet. And that's kind of when we got the change of direction from, I think, when he had a meeting with Spielberg and we got these awesome drawings.
Steven Spielberg came over to Michael and did a drawing on a piece of paper. It's very scribbly, but Morton kept it.
So I think the idea was, instead of materializing the planet, there was some kind of portal in space that the planet was being pulled through. So he really wanted to show the ring, the interface where the planet is kind of either materializing or being pulled through. So you can clearly feel that it's being transported from a different dimension or a different place. This is an early concept frame of kind of showing a little bit more of a orange kind of glowy portal. This is the first shot where the planet is actually starting to pull through. So the effects team started coming up with all these like solar flare looking things. We still had some energy feeding, a beam feeding the energy of the portal. So there's kind of energy traveling across. It's kind of neat.
We've done little phones and little kitchen appliances, and that stuff was great, but we've been wanting to get our hands on big giant robots ever since this thing started. Getting a chance to work on big giant robots walking around just blasting people with extreme prejudice was very therapeutic.
And it's amazing. It's a whole different mindset, different animation style. You don't really appreciate it till you have to go ahead and do them, right? How much work Alan puts into them. The good thing about them is they're just more impressive, right? I mean, as soon as you put them up there and they're towering over everyone and shadowing people, and you're like, they're awesome. I mean, that's why everyone wants to do Transformers.
The bad boy on this one was Driller. And in many ways, Driller was even harder than Devastator.
We had just finished Transformers 2. We'd built Devastator. Most complicated thing we'd ever done.
We were pretty sure Michael had broken us with that one.
And when we started this movie, we went down to the art department. We were looking through the robots, okay, Optimus is getting a few upgrades, great, Bumblebee's getting a few. And we get to this piece of art, and it's like spanning, 3 boards.
It's this massive, massive, massive complex robot. A big worm.
Octopus, snake, Cuisinart.
3 football fields long.
Turning and rotating. And one of the hardest things for an animator to do is animate tentacles. This thing is just a huge tentacle with tentacles coming off of it. And the tentacles don't just slither and move, but they're also spinning.
He's got just thousands and thousands and thousands of parts.
On the scale of probably 8 Optimus Primes. Optimus Prime had about 17,000 pieces.
He's so complicated that it just takes massive amount of patience and computer power to get the scenes with him done.
It took us several months to actually get something functioning where animators had control over how to pose it, how to put the whole package together.
We've managed to make kind of different resolutions of him. The high is extremely slow to work with. It crashed my machine earlier today.
We had to have all of their machines upgraded to the latest, greatest state-of-the-art 64 gigs of memory. I think average home computers have between 2 and 4 gigs.
The most computing power they've ever had to do for any shots ever at Lucasfilm.
So already we're barely able to animate and render this character because he's such a difficult asset. And then we get to the sequence where, okay, now he needs to be crushing a building.
Getting Driller to interact with it at every stage is just an enormous feat.
The skyscraper in this movie is as much a character as anything.
We started modeling the building while we were still shooting.
It's a big, involved, complex model that has to perform in a lot of ways. It breaks in the middle. Pieces of it break out. Driller tears through it.
When you look at the events happening in a shot like this, a lot of it was the individual artist going in and saying, okay, these floors are getting squeezed here in the middle, so I'm gonna crush those up, and then that would then, for the next artist, drive their glass simulation.
The physical dynamics involved with something like that are incredibly complex, both from the modeling standpoint, and then we get into rigid simulations with the computers running simulations based on force and gravity to make all that glass pour out and all that concrete pour out.
And the sides bowing out and flexing. And then the last step is
all the debris and the
paper, concrete, glass.
Destruction. That was just an enormous undertaking on itself.
Well, this gives you a few examples, too, of the different layers that go into here.
You see bits of rebar and bits of concrete. Here's a couch that falls. And we have libraries of things like couches and rebar and concrete.
Window blinds.
And the people working on these shots can pull from those libraries.
It really is a layer cake of items to put together.
If you were to sit down and read the script and go, how are you gonna do that? You know, and then seeing the way it is in the film, it's just like, man, we did it. No, I can't believe it, but there it is, and it looks pretty cool.
It's a struggle for us to find the characters in these cold bits of metal. With the case of Sentinel Prime, Michael had always latched on to Sean Connery. He had a beard. We modeled him with sort of one eyebrow lifted up like this.
He was sort of meant to seem regal. He's even got like a little tassel thing kind of hanging down and the big shoulder epaulettes.
He's kind of this ultimate badass warrior who's also sort of an older general type.
Well, Leonard Nimoy, he married Susan Bay, who's a cousin of mine. I finally got the kahunas up to email him. I said, Leonard, I'm just wondering if you would ever be interested to be a voice character in Transformers. And I've got this great role. It's a pivotal role in this movie. Would you be interested? And he's like, I'd love to. I'm glad to be back. I was on the very first movie. And it was great. With the voice sessions, what we do is we kind of get a bunch of it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? And then we put it in, and then we'll come back and we'll touch up certain lines.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So it
okay.
kind of works
All
pretty.
right. Let's just attack some stuff and see what it sounds like.
Okay. He sort of, gave us this great old man performance with a really gravelly voice, and he really talked. Yeah, it was great.
We couldn't have been happier when we started hearing some of the voiceovers coming in for us to be able to animate too.
Always the bravest of us, Optimus. But you could never make the hard decisions. Our planet will survive.
It was really a lot of fun to animate too. Our animators had a great time.
We watched the ADR session of Leonard Nimoy to see how he uses his mouth when he speaks. So we have those up on our monitor while we're animating Sentinel Prime character.
I am no longer your teacher, Optimus. You are mine.
Did they tell you how they broke the Pro Tools? Apparently, it only goes to 32,000 fades, and we had one reel with 32,000 fades, and it locked up.
The software that we work in is called Pro Tools. And for the first time ever, I found that we couldn't create any more fade files.
They had to call the engineers that invented it, and they realized they broke it. It never went to 32,000 fades.
Never imagined.
Never imagined.
Never imagined.
Why would you ever need to go beyond
32,000 fades in one reel?
On reel 7 of this movie, which happens to be the reel with the tilted building, the skyscraper coming down, all of that action, we maxed out the technology on that reel.
We couldn't add one more track. I mean, and this is a system that is so powerful, yet we maxed it out.
It took Transformers 3 to tell us that there was a maximum limit.
That's an absolute
And
first.
we've all done big movies and never heard of that before.
The most important thing for us to do is, with our sounds, tell the story. We wanted to elevate the picture and create this alchemy between what you see and what you hear that brings the experience to another level.
That's a great sound.
One of the beautiful things about sound work is that it really helps to ground the pictures, especially in a big visual effects film.
Michael gave us a ton of creative freedom. He wanted us to keep things very specific, not have a lot of flab on the track, but that said, he let us go. As long as it was cool and worthy of the picture, it could go in.
Now, the enchilada.
So that mothership coming down is an elephant vocal as he's diving down. If anybody out there wants to make a mothership crashing sound.
Can't find a better sound team. What I love about them is they create so many sounds. They try to do things so different.
In the very beginning of the process, we started recording sounds, collecting sounds. A lot of sounds we didn't even know what they would be used for, but they were just good sounds.
If you're just keep an open mind to sort of what's out there in the world, you can make some happy sort of discoveries.
For all of these movies, I've had a lot of fun recording sounds in my kitchen. For the first movie, the sound of frenzy was the sound of my kitchen cabinet squeaking and chopped up, to sound like a little vocal. In the second movie, some of the sounds of jet fire were my broiler door on my stove creaking for his old rusty joints and parts. And on the third movie, I got to use my fridge. My fridge has a great, when you kind of let it just go, it's got a great groaning sound. And mic'd really closely and then slowed down a little bit and enhanced a little bit. That became the big sound for the building leaning down as it's crashing.
Yeah.
And that's a baboon. When we recorded this baboon, the baboon trainer told us, well, when you're recording, take your keys out of your pocket and just put it on the ground and pretend like you don't see what I'm about to do. And so I'm there under my headphones with my microphone, I've put my keys on the ground, and the trainer sneaks up behind me and steals the keys and runs off. So now the baboon is looking at me and looking at the trainer who's run off with my keys, and he starts flipping out. He's upset by the injustice of my keys getting stolen. So that's when he starts vocalizing and really emotional kind of, he's trying to let me know that my keys had just gotten stolen. So that sound of him trying to warn me, that emotional vocal became the sound for the driller as he's tearing through Chicago and destroying the city.
The Driller is really one of my favorites in all the series. There was a big party here, and the caterers dumped this block of ice on the ground outside of our cutting rooms. And we went outside, saw it, it was kind of melting, and we started sliding it around on the pavement.
And it was making this guttural kind of sound that almost sounded animalistic. And something we totally weren't planning, but it just happened to be an awesome sound that became the main element for the driller's body sliding.
I like the thing that's on 9 and 10. It's a good sound.
Every scene is an opportunity to experiment and learn and try out something new.
That's cool. That's good shit.
By the third movie now, we don't want to just go literal with it. And it's a lot more fun, and I think the product is a lot better to just try to take things that you'd never expect and plug it into something. Like for a lot of the Alien guns, we used sounds that have nothing to do with guns. Like a water drop, boom, and then you take the boom and just repeat it, boom, 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 boom.
We always say, and we've been told that this is his happy place. Been in this room for 3 months. And it's been a bit crazy.
This is our first fight?
About 80.
Yeah, crunchy.
Bubbly.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Certainly the most ambitious sound job we've ever done. I hope people get out there and just dig it, because we have.
We're in Russia. This is the biggest premiere in the history of the world.
Well, we have the green carpet, not the red carpet, which is fun.
This has been a whirlwind, it's been a roller coaster. I'm so thrilled to be here with everybody after all our hard work.
Fans are definitely going to see stuff they have not seen before.
I thought the premieres we did for the last two were pretty spectacular. I kind of want to do a fourth one just to see what the premiere's going to be like. Where do we go, to the moon?
I can't wait for the Linkin Park concert that's tonight in Red Square.
You couldn't imagine building a better backdrop for a live performance.
Red Square, Russia, Linkin Park, crazy.
I am very proud of Transformers, including all the things that I've ever said bad about Transformers, because I think that those things needed to be said so that we could be the Transformers 3 that we became, honestly. And it is the best movie we've made.
I had a blast working on this movie, and I feel very grateful to Mike and to everybody that believed in me and took a chance on me. You know, and Michael, I've never been around anyone that works as hard as him. He's totally dedicated to these movies. He spent 6 years of his life working on them every single day. You know, he works really hard, and the only way I felt like I could thank him for giving me this opportunity was by working really hard for him, which I hope I did.
This crew and this cast, we've become pretty tight. I mean, this is now the third movie that I've worked with Tyrese and Shia, but, you know, I think especially you see it in Shia. You know, when we shot the first one, he was just a kid, and he's grown up.
Watching Shia kind of grow up on these movies, you know, I've had to be kind of a father and a big brother to him.
You know, you watch him become a man. You know, I know that sounds kind of trite, but that's the truth. He was a teenager, and now he's a man.
He's a great actor, and, you know, I think the world of the kid.
I've worked with a great crew. We were really a well-oiled machine. It was kind of like a big, gigantic Transformer family, and they've worked their hearts out on this one, and it really shows.
One of the great and lucky things about working on films like this is that you get to travel and you get to see things that most folks don't get to see.
With Michael, doors open. Pyramids and space shuttles and Lincoln memorials.
There's so many things that we get access to as a film crew that are really, really special.
For instance, I'd never been to Chicago. I think Chicago is one of my favorite cities in the world now. And you know, you get a chance to see places and live in places that you haven't been. I don't know if I ever would have got those opportunities had I not been in this movie. I think at the end of the day, I'm just very grateful for Michael giving me the opportunity early on and for letting me continue my character in these movies. And I've had a blast. I really have.
It's hard to soundbite my 6 years with Michael, and it's very difficult, man. It's hard to encapsulate all these memories. I have 6 years of memories. It's hard to pick one.
Yeah, that's good.
You know, this has been 6.5 or 7 years. It feels like we never stopped. It's like we've all been this crazy family for 7 years.
It's kind of been a magical kind of ride working with 3,000-4,000 artists, and remembering the very first day when I had the very first test screening in Arizona with 400 people, I'm like saying to myself, this is a dumb robot movie.
I'm sure Paramount and Hasbro and all of us involved will want to do another one. My guess is we're going to do a lot of reimagining when we get there.
You know there are going to have to be more of these movies. It's one of those just uber successful franchises, and it's grown in its potential instead of gotten weaker. That's a sign that people want to see more of it. And, I think there can be more of them. It's very tempting to go back, you know, when I see Bumblebee's face, and it's just to think I'm handing it off to somebody else, you know. But I'm really in need of doing another movie right now. I'm just, I need something creatively to do something different. So maybe I just need to recharge my batteries. You asked me the question again.